Well, they say 12. Fine. I know. I'm going to move inside. I've just been waiting here protectively, but I'll move soon. Yes.
And even in the worst sort of traffic from Brentwood across town to downtown Los Angeles, you would expect now, an hour later, that he would be there by now. But of course, he may have made a few stops en route.
Something that is possible is he may have gone to his attorney's office.
Could have gone to the attorney's office, stopped to see friends, to say goodbye, that sort of thing. It's really kind of hard to tell. The other thing is most of this has been orchestrated. You have to know that by now, between the police and his attorney in terms of how long he would be left out before the charges were filed. Many of us thought that it would be through the funerals to allow him to attend the funerals. That appears to have been the case. And then this is orchestrated in negotiations between the police and the district attorney and his attorney. And so we do expect him to surrender, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has to be exactly on the timetable that they thought they had negotiated. It could be a few minutes one way or the other, and it looks like right now it is sort of the backside of that timetable.
Though it appears by the preparations going on when we saw Mark Coogan on the backside of Parker Center that they were indeed ready and waiting.
Getting ready for this incredible event, the surrender to police to stand trial for murder of O.J. Simpson. Let's go to Linda now. I think she's off the phone. Maybe she can bring us up to date on what's going on down there at Parker Center. Linda?
Gene, as you were introducing me, I just got the call I've been waiting for. We now know what O.J. Simpson will be charged with. He will be charged with 2 counts, special circumstances, multiple murders. Again, 2 counts, special circumstances, multiple murders, homicide, of course, and he, of course, will not be eligible for bail. He will be taken directly to the Central Jail and put in jail. That's what will happen to O.J. Simpson today. Also, at that time, there will be a date set for a preliminary hearing, which will be in about 2 weeks. Now, that's the latest we have here. In the meantime, we are standing by. Commander Dave Gascon will be coming down here at noon, they tell us, and he will be telling us about this, basically the same thing, about the 2 counts against special circumstances. Now, a note, that will make O.J. Simpson eligible for the death penalty, 2 counts of special circumstances.
That's certainly the case, Linda. Now, do you know what what those special circumstances are?
No, we don't. It's not in the information we received yet. We may be able to find out. I would imagine special circumstances, that's got to be the way they were killed, perhaps.
Multiple murders, and perhaps laying in wait is a possibility, too.
There's laying in wait. There is an indication because of the way they were killed. We have, of course, confirmed that their necks were slashed. They could have been killed and then slashed after that. That's one of the kinds of special circumstances, especially grisly things like that. Those all go into it.
Okay, now we understand, Linda, and you may have heard this. We've said it a couple of times that CNN had been reporting that a second individual was going to be charged in this murder case along with O.J. Simpson. CNN is now retracting that report. Apparently there was no second, or there will be no second.
If I could clear that up, there were rumors earlier this morning that there was a second suspect involved, but that is not true, as you say.
Okay, well, we are happy to put that on the record, that the CNN report was in error, and they are now retracting it. It appears that O.J. Simpson is the one and only suspect, and has been pretty much from the beginning of this case last Sunday or early Monday morning, when the bodies of his ex-wife and Ronald Goldman were found outside Nicole Brown Simpson's condominium in Brentwood.
And that, of course, is what police have been telling us all along, is that they had been focusing solely on O.J. Simpson, and they were not looking at any others as suspects throughout the week and throughout their investigation. I was just going to touch on something Linda was saying regarding those special circumstances. Normally, special circumstances are filed on top of murder charges when it involves more than one murder, or when a murder is committed during another crime, such as a rape or a robbery, sometimes in torture, as you were saying, lying in wait. And we will have to wait to see what the district attorney's office decides as to whether they will file those, and special circumstances will make him eligible for the death penalty should they decide to go for that. Otherwise, he is also eligible for life in prison without the possibility of parole in a special circumstances cases.
Those are the only 2 possibilities in a case like that, if he is found guilty. of murder charges with special circumstances, either the death penalty or life in prison without parole. And certainly you have to look at this now and say that if the police investigators and the district attorney's office had been sort of backing off and treating O.J. lightly in terms of this period, this interim period between the crime and the time he is arrested, allowing him to go to the funeral yesterday, getting all of their sort of I's dotted and their T's crossed in their investigation, the fact that they have filed the 2 murder charges with special circumstances means this is really a ton of bricks down on his head. This is the strongest filing they could possibly make. And a lot of people were speculating at the time that Mr. Shapiro was named as his attorney that he was some sort of plea bargaining specialist and that he would try to negotiate something with the district attorney's office. Of course, all attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, do plea bargaining. But in this case, if there was any negotiations, it didn't go very far because these are very tough charges, about as tough as you can get.
And I was surprised that O.J.'s attorney was as forward as he was in making that very public statement just the other day, proclaiming his client's innocence by saying that his client was not was in fact at home at the time that those murders occurred.
Waiting for the limousine. And, but obviously police have something beyond that, a very, very strong case, or they wouldn't be filing charges of that type. 2 counts of murder with special circumstances filed about 45 minutes ago to an hour ago against O.J. Simpson in the deaths of his wife and her friend Ronald Goldman, and we are awaiting O.J. Simpson's surrender to police. It should happen any time now. We have gotten word that the arraignment of O.J. Simpson, which originally had been scheduled in criminal courts about 11:30 on the 9th floor of the criminal courts.
Hang on, hold on. Hold on. No, not yet. Hang on. Hang on.
You'll be ready to go in 2 minutes.
2-minute warning. 2-minute warning.
2 minutes.
Confirm, Bob Roy. 2-minute warning.
No, it's media time.
Yo. Wait.
He doesn't think what? Yep. Oh, he's got to be there. No way. He's got to be there.
Kathy,
Nope.
can you move over a little? We're in our shot. You said it was fine.
Oh, I see. I guess so.
Ryan, move that way.
Okay. That was a blocking move.
Thanks. I wonder if you're saying he wouldn't be
That's always pretty good.
So you want me this way and then go that way? I'll back out and duck down. Okay, I'll duck down and get over there.
Hey, Paul in the green shirt.
Yo. Come on, come on, come on. Gascon's coming up.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
He's on the stage.
Gary, almost 2 hours late here, but I find this
Man on the right is the chief detective in charge.
Okay, I have an official announcement from the Los Angeles Police Department. As most of you know, Chief Williams is under subpoena and has been back in Philadelphia and has been testifying in a federal case. Throughout the course of the week, he has been in constant contact with the department, talking about many significant issues, including this murder investigation. We've spoken several times today regarding this matter. This morning, detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department, after an exhaustive investigation, which included interviews of dozens of witnesses, and a thorough examination and analysis of the physical evidence, both here and in Chicago, sought and obtained a warrant for the arrest of O.J. Simpson, charging him with the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Lyle Goldman. Mr. Simpson, in agreement with his attorney, was scheduled to surrender this morning to the Los Angeles Police Department. Initially, that was 11 o'clock. It then became 11:45. Mr. Simpson has not appeared. The Los Angeles Police Department right now is actively searching for Mr. Simpson. The Los Angeles Police Department is also very unhappy with the activities surrounding his failure to surrender. And we will be looking further into those activities, including anyone that may have intervened on his behalf.
Supposed to go back over to the north side, and I'm staying here at the south side.
Now, Chief Williams has personally expressed his appreciation for the sworn and civilian members of the Los Angeles Police Department who have been involved in this investigation. Now, particularly the detectives assigned to Robbery Homicide Division, Homicide Special Section. I should also point out the actions, the tremendous effort of the civilian personnel assigned to Scientific Investigation Division, and we should not forget the personnel assigned to West Los Angeles area. It was through the tireless efforts of all these dedicated employees that the department was able to arrive at this juncture in the investigation in so timely a manner. We will continue our pursuit of Mr. Simpson and hope to have him in custody soon. This matter will now enter the prosecutorial stage, where it'll be overseen by a team of extremely talented prosecutors. Chief Williams has assured District Attorney Gil Garcetti that the department is fully committed to providing the highest level of investigative support to the prosecutors assigned to this case. As to the evidence, we will not be making specific comments relative to the evidence. Those comments are better left with the prosecutors. You have been in a position to see the efforts of the sworn and civilian members of the organization gathering some of that evidence. We will not be making comments on that evidence. As to the rumors that have floated around all week, including some today, we don't acknowledge or address any of those rumors. As to leaks from so-called police sources, our official comments have been limited to those statements given at the crime scene by Lieutenant John Rogers, the officer in charge of Robbery Homicide Division's Homicide Special Section, comments by Chief Williams, and comments that I've made. Any criticism of the Los Angeles Police Department because of what has been published or broadcast by the media is unfair. We do not control the newsrooms. You and your bosses make these very difficult decisions, and we appreciate and respect your judgments. We express our condolences to the families of the victims, as we do with victims of violent crimes on a daily basis. This is certainly a tragedy, there's no question. These two young people didn't deserve to die, and they didn't deserve to die in that manner. The Los Angeles Police Department hastens to add there is a presumption of innocence, and that's very important. No one's been convicted of any crime at this point. With me is Commander John White and Captain Bill Gartland, who have played a key role in this investigation, and the Chief of Police also acknowledges their efforts. I can take a few questions.
Mr. Commander Gaston, didn't you have a tail on the suspect all the time? Were you watching him constantly?
We're not going to make any comments relative to the investigative efforts itself or anything else surrounding what has occurred since the beginning of the case.
Well, how did you lose him?
You asked a question. Would you like for me to answer? We have spoken to Mr. Shapiro. We have expressed our dismay, and we have indicated to him that we expect to see Mr. Simpson immediately, if not sooner.
Has Shapiro seen him today?
You're going to have to hold it down one at a time, or I won't be able to hear you.
Has Shapiro seen him today at all, Commander?
Well, it's my understanding that he has.
And where is he seeing himself in?
Can Mr. Shapiro account for why Mr. Simpson has not turned himself in?
Well, apparently he cannot. He assured us and agreed to provide for this surrender, and that's not occurred. And it was delayed on several occasions, and it still has not occurred. And to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Simpson is out there somewhere, and we will find him. Pat? Sorry.
Thank you, Commander. When was the last time you had contact with Mr. Shapiro? When was the last time he had contact with Mr. Simpson?
We spoke with Mr. Shapiro recently, several minutes ago. I can't tell you when the last time he spoke to Mr. Simpson was.
What about the suspect given his special consideration because of his celebrity status?
Absolutely not. Homicide investigations are complicated investigations. They require a tremendous amount of skill and patience by detectives. We have some of our absolutely best detectives on this case. They've been very methodical. They've done a tremendous job. They deserve to be complimented for their efforts. As I indicated, they're very complicated. There's no rush to judgment on these types of investigations. You have to keep an open mind. They are, as I indicated, among the very best we have. And there is no preferential treatment. There has not been any preferential treatment. And I think you will see with the commitment of department resources in pursuit of Mr. Simpson that he is a wanted murder suspect, and we will go find him. I can't give you any indication of that. I don't know. Yes, Warren.
Can you tell us when O.J. was informed that his arrest?
Well, we have an expectation that if he's in consultation with his attorney and his attorney has made this arrangement with us, that he certainly knows. And I doubt that there's anyone around this country that's been monitoring television, radio, or newspapers that doesn't know at this point that something's going on in this case.
What about the second suspect?
Yes.
Last night, there was some attempt at pretending as though O.J. Simpson went into his Brentwood mansion. However, many people do not believe that was actually O.J. Simpson at that time. Do you believe that he was in his mansion last night and left this morning, or some other time that he disappeared?
I have no interest in getting into what occurred out there. I saw the tapes, and I don't wish to address that. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, it was Mr. Newton. Again, we're not going to dignify any of the rumors. We believe we know who's responsible for the crime. We certainly have, to the degree of satisfaction necessary to us, to obtain a warrant. We believe him to be the suspect, and that's why we're looking for him now. Yes, sir, you were right behind me.
If and when he is apprehended, will this figure into bail?
I'm not going to be discussing any of the aspects related to the prosecution or anything that falls within the purview of the district attorney's office. As I indicated, they have some exceptionally talented deputy district attorneys over there that will be handling this matter. Yes.
Do you think he's still in the Los Angeles area?
Well, it's our assumption at this point that he is. And we'll see what transpires.
Commander
Commander?
Yes, sir.
Is he considered armed and dangerous at this time?
Well, Mr. Simpson is a wanted murder suspect, 2 counts of murder, a terrible crime. We need to find him, we need to apprehend him, we need to bring him to justice, and we need to make sure that we find him as quickly as possible. Yes, sir.
At any time during the initial questioning or subsequently, was he required to surrender his passport at all?
I don't have any particular comments to make about anything that occurred during the time that we spoke with Mr. Simpson or he was speaking with us. Over here.
Can you tell us what kind of search you have going on right now?
Well, obviously, with the information that I'm disclosing to you, we'll make sure that the entire Los Angeles Police Department and law enforcement in the region is alerted to the situation. And clearly that means that all the officers in patrol cars, that means detectives, that means people that work specialized divisions, that means people that are up in helicopters, they'll all be aware of this. That means California Highway Patrol officers will know about it, the Sheriff's Department will know about it, local law enforcement will know about it. We will make sure everyone knows about it, or you will make sure of that. Well, we'll start here right now. Yes, sir.
When he surrenders or when he's apprehended, what the procedure will be from there? Where will he be a partner, center, that sort of thing?
Well, when Mr. Simpson is apprehended, he'll be handcuffed and placed in a car, a police car of some kind. He will be transported and booked here at Parker Center and processed. I can take, I'll take one more question.
When did you last see him?
At what time did you tell Mr. Shapiro that the arrest warrant had gone through?
I'm sorry?
What time did you tell Mr. Shapiro that the arrest warrant had gone through?
I'm not going to get into the details of our conversations with Mr. Shapiro. I think I've expressed to you our displeasure with what has transpired, and I think I've conveyed to you strongly enough that we are very interested in evaluating what has transpired in his failure to surrender. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your patience.
Saying that O.J. Simpson is a wanted murder suspect at this point. O.J. Simpson was this morning, then he said at 11:45. So far, 26-year-old O.J. Simpson is nowhere to be found. His attorney, Robert, really doesn't know where he is. The LAPD is very unhappy with O.J. Simpson. Failure to surrender. They have talked to his attorney, Robert Shapiro, evidently couldn't give them any clear answers. They're trying to get satisfied personalities there, and basically saying that O.J. Simpson is a wanted murder suspect, that LAPD are out looking for him on the ground, helicopters. They have notified the California Highway Patrol, basically thinking he is still in the region here, but they really don't know. They are out looking for him. They say when they find him, he will be arrested, handcuffed, brought back to Parker Center and booked for a double murder. But right now, an amazing ending to this story that O.J. Simpson is a wanted murder suspect. Obviously, there will be no 2 o'clock arraignment here at LAPD, basically defending their actions, saying they didn't give any kind of preferential treatment to O.J. Simpson, but they did indeed work out a voluntary surrender deal with his attorney. That's something that they do with the high-profile cases of people that they really don't think are going to flee the area. Probably they really thought in this case, but what they thought did not come out. Apparently, that's
1, 2, 3, 4. Peter, that was a controlled yet angry Commander David Gaskin. I know him somewhat. You can see he is mightily irritated by this. It's interesting, you know, there's been some discussion about not giving O.J. Simpson any special treatment, but they worked out a deal with him and allowed him to surrender himself, and he has now apparently violated that deal. They're angry here.
And of course from anyone who might see or hear of the whereabouts of O.J. Simpson. Okay. Yes.
He will be out at 2:45, and I'll come out and give you a 2-minute heads up.
He sure does, Gene. Just a few minutes ago, we were told that he would come out in about 5 minutes and announce his statement of the charges being filed officially against O.J. Simpson. That was about 3 minutes ago, so in the next couple of minutes we should get warning here that he is going to step forward and make his announcement. The district attorney's office, of course, very upset over this shocking disturbance that O.J. Simpson did not turn himself in as he had expected to and as he said he would. And so possibly another charge against Simpson, evading arrest if it continues on and they have to continue to search for him. So questions here being addressed to the district attorney's office are, number one, will special circumstances be added to the charges of murder one against Nicole Brown Simpson and Ryan Goldman? That question, of course, has yet to be answered, but those in the district attorney's office who I was speaking to earlier, sources have said that indeed that's a strong possibility that they may add that on to the current charges. We await now within the next couple of minutes for Mr. Gil Garcetti to take the stand and make his official announcement. Live here at the Criminal Courts Building, Art Rascone, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. Gene, Harold?
We don't know his whereabouts, and I'm not trying to get everybody overly excited. All I'm saying is that that Mr. Garcetti is just waiting for some information from LAPD, and as soon as he has a phone conversation, then he'll be in.
Is there an estimate when that might take place?
We're hoping another 5 or 10 minutes.
What kind of information is he waiting for?
He won't know that until he answers the phone. I can't. I mean, it's while you're here, all of your stations are carrying live shots of activity at that location. It's the condominium, so you'll have to check with your desk. In the meantime, the sooner I get back there, and we're trying to expedite this because I know.
Have you seen the station? Could you tell us what's happening?
It's news. We need to know.
I promise you, the next time we get together like this, we'll have a monitor in the conference room. But in the meantime, we apologize. Just bear with us another few minutes, and we'll be right back.
Tell us what's happening, what the viewers are saying.
We hate to be the last to know. That's why we're in this business. We don't ask and because you have to know what's happening.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
As to what is going on, so obviously there's a tremendous amount of interest in this location. This is the location where two people were brutally murdered. Something else has happened here. A few minutes ago, a 911 call came in, and we can only assume that something has happened here. Earlier I said that was the coroner's van. It looks similar to the LA County coroner's van, and assuming that there would be someone dead within the property. We do not know that and have not seen that. Now there we see some people gathered outside the rear of this building. I don't particularly recall any of those vehicles at the Simpson estate. And we have this large green bush that's blocking this side of the house. And this is in that area to the left in the middle of your screen is where we saw people walking earlier who were allowed into the...
Again, this is Jim Moray at CNN's Los Angeles studios. You've been looking at some video outside Nicole Simpson's Brentwood, California condominium where apparently something has happened. We've been having sporadic communications problems with our reporter on the scene, Mark Watts. Can you hear us now via cellular?
Hear you, Jim.
What can you tell us about the scene? It looks absolutely chaotic.
In another unconfirmed report surrounding this case,
Los Angeles Police Department officials before he comments about the charges being filed against Simpson. So we await now simply over what's happening right now in Brentwood.
I don't know what pictures you're looking at, but they said police have just allowed her daughter to go inside.
Whose daughter is that, Mark?
I'm trying to look and peer over there. You got people on the side of the house where I am running around crazy trying to figure out what's going on. And everybody keeps yelling, OJ, OJ's inside. Once again, CNN has not been able to confirm this, but in a case full of suspicion, that appears to be one of the leading rumors at this point.
Mark, what we've been seeing all week
I'd like
is...
to put the phone down for a minute and just walk over there and see if I can talk to some police officials and get something more conclusive and definitive.
Okay, very good,
Jim?
Mark. Thank you. That's Mark Watts, our reporter, CNN correspondent on the ground outside the condominium.
To bring information.
Let's listen now to KTLA, CNN's affiliate in Los Angeles. Let's listen to the audio as they discuss what is going on.
Commander David Gascon indicated, dropped the bombshell, that O.J. Simpson was in fact not in custody, that they did not know his whereabouts, that they called him a fugitive, and that he was wanted on 2 murder charges, and that his attorney, Mr. Shapiro, had indicated to the LAPD that he did not know where he was. He did not know Simpson. Now, we understand that we have word from a detective. Can you give me his name again, please?
Ron Phillips.
Detective Ron Phillips has indicated that there was speculation that O.J. Simpson was in this home. We are not told by the detective that he is not. Again, we've not been able to confirm that independently of the police department, but there is indeed something going on here of significance. Therefore, the attention that's being paid to the town
residents.
And what's the source of that?
That's just word given to me from a...
And I think a lot of people, this is a very important piece of information that Lieutenant Ron Phillips said that he is, O.J. Simpson is not at this location because of, again, all the private speculation. So O.J. Simpson is not at this location, is not involved in this incident, and we do not know the details of the incident at this moment. It's been almost a half hour since the first 911 call went out. It went out, well, according to ours, we got it at 2:20, so it's been just about that half hour. And it was a screaming woman. Something had happened, and obviously, with all of the units arriving and with the uniformed officers on the scene, and then, of course, the news crews there, that something has happened. The fact that the yellow tape was taken out and an area blocked off, although it's interesting that so many people are still crowded around that front entrance. In most cases, those people would probably be moved on to a greater distance from the location. But at the moment, you can see the yellow tape back in the shaded area, and everyone else is standing outside.
I would assume that as officers arrive, that area will be cleared, in fact, and people will be moved away.
It takes a while to really take secure charge of the scene, and as Carlos mentioned, we saw finally they were diverting traffic from Bundy, so they've turned that off. And I guess this is like an alleyway, isn't it?
Yeah, an alley behind.
An alleyway behind, but
townhouses.
That tan van is certainly an intriguing element, and it. Someone went out of there and went into the house. I thought it might have.
Are surrounding me. On my right is David Kahn, who's the head of our Special Trials Unit. On my left is Marcia Clark, who is assigned to that division and who has been working with the Los Angeles Police Department during the investigation. Today, my office filed murder charges against O.J. Simpson for the deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Lyle Goldman. We are alleging special circumstances. The special circumstances in this case is a double homicide. We are also alleging that the weapon used was a knife. We had fully anticipated that Mr. Simpson would have been arraigned this afternoon. As of this time, approximately 3 p.m., no one knows where he is. I want to say something to the entire community. If you in any way are assisting Mr. Simpson in avoiding justice, Mr. Simpson is a fugitive of justice right now. And if you assist him in any way, you are committing a felony. Think about it. And I'll guarantee you that if there is evidence establishing that you've assisted Mr. Simpson in any way to avoid his arrest, you will be prosecuted as a felon. Now, you can tell that I'm a little upset, and I am upset. This is a very serious case. Many of us perhaps had empathy to some extent. We saw perhaps the falling of an American hero. To some extent, I viewed Mr. Simpson in the same way. But let's remember, we have 2 innocent people who have been brutally killed. We have their families who are still with us today, who are going to suffer for the rest of their lives, including the children of the Simpsons. It's a serious case. We will continue to treat it seriously. We will be working closely with the Los Angeles Police Department. I want to go out of my way to congratulate the Los Angeles Police Department in the outstanding professional investigation that led to the filing of these criminal charges. Phil Van Adder and Tom Lang are absolutely top-flight investigators, and they've done a superb job. We will find Mr. Simpson, and we are going to bring him to justice. If you have any questions, I will attempt to address them, but it's going to be difficult.
Has the murder weapon been found yet, and if so, where? Who is primarily responsible for Mr. Simpson having disappeared?
Don't blame anyone. I mean, look at how many people are here today. How many members of the media have been surrounding Mr. Simpson's house, and he was able to get away somehow. I understand that. What I'm trying to do is I don't want to put blame on anyone. Mr. Simpson, we were prepared to arrest Mr. Simpson after the scientific evidence had come back, and we were satisfied we now have sufficient evidence to go forward. For the laws, let me finish. The Los Angeles Police Department didn't know exactly where he was. We'd been in contact with the lawyer. We don't know where Mr. Simpson is. That's the bottom line.
When was that point that you said you were prepared?
I'm sorry, just a minute.
The point that you were prepared to arrest him when the scientific evidence came back. When was it?
Would have been, we made the decision late yesterday afternoon, early evening.
So he could have been arrested theoretically at any time after that, even though where he was.
We didn't have the reports. You have to have, before you, I mean, this gets very technical, but before you can go in and get a warrant, you have to have the actual documents. LAPD was working all night to get the actual paperwork so that we could go into court to get the arrest warrant. Let's go, just a minute, just one at a time, please.
Okay,
Go ahead.
on the special circumstances,
Yes.
what specifically on the murder charge makes it that way? Was it like lying in wait? Do you have evidence?
No, the special circumstance is the simple fact that it's a double homicide. That's it. Just one.
Can you tell us what conversations you had last night and this morning with Mr. Shapiro, and what he said to you about producing O.J. Simpson?
No, you're begging the question. I had no conversations with Mr. Shapiro last night or this morning. I had a conversation with Mr. Shapiro with others present on my speakerphone after Mr. Simpson had left the premises of where Mr. Shapiro was. It's in the San Fernando Valley someplace. Mr. Shapiro expressed surprise that when Los Angeles Police Department showed up to make the arrest, take him into custody, that Mr. Simpson could not be found. Just a minute. Just go ahead.
When was Mr. Simpson officially informed that he would be placed under arrest and charged with murder?
We made, this office and the Los Angeles Police Department actually made contact with Mr. Shapiro this morning, approximately 8:30.
Mr. Garcetti?
Go.
Mr. Garcetti?
I'm sorry? Oh, I'm not going to speculate as to what happened.
Can you tell us a little bit what you believe happened?
There were physicians that apparently were seen examining Mr. Simpson at a particular residence. That's all I know. Just a minute, Mr. Goodman.
What can you tell us about the 911 call to Cole Brown Simpson's townhouse at the short time ago where the police currently are?
I do know a little about it, but I'm not at liberty, I think, to really discuss it. I'm not, this could be proved to be wrong, but I'm not overly concerned about what's taking place at that location right now, based on the information that I have currently received. Just a minute.
Saying that they were ready to put Mr. Simpson under arrest Monday or Tuesday, and that your office held up that arrest. What do you have to say in response?
That's inaccurate. Yes, just a minute. No. Mr. Shapiro was informed at that. Los Angeles Police Department did not know where he was. That is where Mr. Simpson was. Contact was made with Mr. Shapiro. Mr. Shapiro was told, you surrender him at 11 o'clock at Parker Center. He agreed.
When was the last time that anybody in LA law enforcement knew for certain Mr. Simpson's whereabouts?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I do not know.
Let's assume for the minute that we find him or he is found shortly. Can you talk without going into too much of your evidence in your case about what you believe happened Sunday night? What happened at the murder scene?
No, even though I'm upset and angry about what is taking place right now, in fairness to Mr. Simpson, it would not be fair if we started discussing the evidence, especially before even his lawyers have looked at the evidence. I am personally satisfied. I have 2 top lawyers who've looked at it, plus other lawyers in our office. There was substantial evidence there warranting these charges.
Well, without discussing the evidence, is it possible to sketch
one more.
in general terms what happened?
We have not found the murder weapon. It's
You say it's a knife?
it's a knife. It's a knife.
Mr. Garcetti, we have information that these were very, very severe wounds that could only be caused by something other than a conventional knife, if you will. Can you somehow, I realize since you don't have it, you can't be precise, but can you characterize it in any way? Obviously, this is not a pocket knife we're talking about.
It's a substantial knife.
There's no allegation of lying in wait in the complaint?
No.
That a decision that
Let me point something out. The investigation is still ongoing. In fact, I would urge any viewers, any listeners, anyone who reads your newspapers, that if you are in the vicinity of Bundy and Wilshire Boulevard on Sunday night, if you have any information that might assist us, contact the Los Angeles Police Department. As I said, the investigation is still underway. We are not finished. The question was whether we'd be seeking the death penalty.
You're listening to Los Angeles
Obviously,
District Attorney Gil Garcetti addressing the media about the disappearance of O.J. Simpson. At the same time, we are showing you the crime scene at 875 South Bundy Drive in Brentwood. Apparently, the information we have received is something happened there, but it had nothing to do with O.J. Simpson. The police have set up a crime scene, but it is unrelated to O.J. Simpson or his disappearance. That's the information we have from the scene on South.
Grand jury, whatever it might be, so that we can then make, I think, a more informed decision as to what evidence we actually have.
Mr. Garcetti, what time is Mr. Garcetti? Someone were facing a potential death sentence in double homicide, they would have been arrested by now. The allegation is that whether it's coming from the DA's office or whether it's coming from LAPD, there was an agreement that he wasn't going anywhere, and that agreement was made because of what he did.
There was no agreement that I'm aware of. Believe me, no, I'm not saying that either. If, in fact, we had known where Mr. Simpson was, he would have been arrested. We would not have asked for him to surrender. This is a double homicide case with special circumstances. We would have arrested him.
When?
We would have arrested him immediately if we'd known where he was.
But you knew at the funeral because
It was after we had the information, the scientific evidence that now we believe we have sufficient evidence to go forward with the criminal prosecution, yes.
Were you unprepared to
But we still...
That was last night about 8:30.
Was that last night, Gil, on another turn?
It was early evening.
You were unprepared then to arrest him at the time he showed up at the funeral?
You did not have the information.
Gil, when did you get the warrant?
Gil,
Are you gonna file?
Yes, thank you for that.
The mulch out.
Somebody nailed the mold.
Is O.J. Simpson considered to be dead? Are you back? All right. That's for you to conclude. Obviously, we have charged Mr. Simpson with 2 violent murders.
You warned people against helping. Are you going to file
I'm sorry?
charges? You warned people against helping you. You said you sort of
Yes.
conspiracy by his friends or family.
I'm not saying there's any conspiracy. The information that we have is that Al Cowlings, who was a former football teammate of his at USC, was the last person seen with O.J. Simpson.
When was that?
Today,
Who was that? Where?
Al Cowlings, early afternoon.
Where?
In the valley, someplace, wherever this house is, and I don't know where the house is, the San Fernando Valley. Pardon me? I'm sorry? No, his lawyer and the physicians saw him, not LAPD.
How do you know Al Cowlings was with him? Has
We
Cowlings
don't.
talked to you?
No, we don't know where he is. We'd like to talk to Mr. Cowlings.
How do you know that Al Cowlings was with O.J. Simpson?
We were informed by people who were in the house.
Are you in contact with
Whose house is it?
I don't know the man's name.
Are you saying that
It's not a name I recognize.
Are you
It's,
saying that in any murder case that you will not get an arrest warrant until you have the results of scientific tests back from independent labs?
no, not saying that.
In this case.
Of course, because we didn't have any eyewitnesses. If you, in any case, Phil, let me finish, Phil. If you have sufficient evidence, absent scientific evidence, we do it all the time. You go out and arrest. In this case, it was, quote, first a whodunit, right? We needed that evidence before you go out and make an arrest. Just who has an answer? You have.
Did you have reasons to not believe Mr. Simpson would be blamed?
I'm not saying that he wouldn't be a flight risk. I mean, it's going to be, I'm very confident we're going to find O.J. Simpson because this is a man who can't hide too easily. I mean, his face is well known to millions of people throughout the world. I'm sorry?
why you arrest them as soon as possible is not just so they don't get away or not just so they don't hurt other people, but that they don't hurt themselves.
If we do not have sufficient evidence to make an arrest or to issue the warrant for the arrest, we're not going to do it. If we do not in the district attorney's office have sufficient evidence warranting a criminal complaint, we're not going to do it. Once we had that information, we moved as quickly as we could. Just a minute. Who has an answer? Yes, sir.
Had O.J. Simpson ever been told that he was not free to go anywhere? And if he was told that he was not free or that he should not leave, when was that?
I can't answer that question. I don't know if LAPD told them that.
Under what circumstances might one tell somebody?
Pardon me?
After questioning somebody as a witness, would one normally do that? At what point might one tell somebody that?
I don't think there's any normal course.
You're saying it might not have been told as of last night, this morning?
I can't answer that. I believe that Mr. Shapiro has his passport in hand, so it'd be difficult for him to leave the country. But I'm not sure what Mr. Shapiro told him, if anything.
Can you answer when his friend is on another charge?
Just a minute, let me get someone else here.
Are you confident that O.J. is alive?
Yeah, that's pure speculation on my part. I certainly don't have any information that he's dead, that he's deceased at this point. I'm sorry?
Are the DNA tests that you were doing, are they complete now?
No, DNA is going to take several weeks.
Many
weeks, one at a time.
No bail. You're going to be asking for no bail in the event you do find him. Presumably, in large part, because you think he's a flight risk based on the charges that have been filed. Given that he knew those charges, and those charges were about to be filed, why wasn't there some kind of a full court press surveillance, at least from the time of the funeral to the present?
I can't answer that question.
Should there have been?
I'm not going to be critical of Los Angeles Police Department. They did an outstanding job in this investigation.
Mr. Garcetti,
Just a minute. You had a question.
they're asking about what Mr. Shapiro.
In the conversations, I did not have a conversation with Mr. Shapiro this morning. Marcia Clark had the conversation with Mr. Shapiro this morning and simply arranged that 11 o'clock you are to surrender O.J. Simpson.
Mr. Garcetti.
The Parker Center. He did agree, correct? He did agree.
Saying that the
I'm sorry?
were handled?
Yes, he's been with him today.
So are you saying that
He actually saw him today. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, what?
Mr. Shapiro, you said anyone who made their bets in a stadium will be charged with felony.
Correct. If there is evidence that he aided and abetted, yes.
So are you saying
We would. I'm talking about anyone who might have. I'm sorry, Andrea. You asked a question.
Could you not have taken Mr. Simpson in custody last night when you had the evidence you needed in hand? Could you not have taken him into custody for the 48 hours or 72 hours that the law allows you to hold someone during the investigation?
Yes, if you knew where he was.
Mr. Garcetti, so are you saying that it was the responsibility of the LAPD to make the arrangements to deliver him to your doorstep?
LAPD is in charge of the investigation. LAPD would be in charge of the arrest and everything that involves the arrest.
Working in conjunction with your office. So the question so many people are asking, and perhaps this needs to be addressed to the LAPD, and it already has, is how can this possibly happen? The entire world is focused on this man. Is there any way to answer that?
I can't.
Surely you're wondering that yourself.
Aren't we all?
Well, I mean, you're in a position to give us some insight. Harvey's question was surveillance.
Thanks.
I mean,
I can answer some questions, Phil, but not all of them.
Do you know if the LAPD looked for him last night, or if there was any indication either to Mr. Shapiro or to him or to anyone in his camp that an arrest is pending?
I think Mr. Shapiro voiced real surprise, if I recall correctly, when he was informed today that there would be a complaint issued against his client.
What was
Yes,
the
sir.
time and place he was placed in the van? These people that you talked to.
Yes.
What time was it? And where was it?
I don't know from what period of time, but certainly I believe it was like late morning at the latest or early afternoon. In fact, it had to be earlier because originally O.J. was supposed to surrender at 11 o'clock. That means he should have been on the road by 10:30.
Gil, in the event he did flee, Gil, in the event
Have you established the whereabouts
Yes.
of O.J. children?
Yes.
Gil, in the event he did flee, will that weigh in your decision as to whether to seek the death penalty?
No, not seek. No, I can't say that that would be a factor in the death penalty part. It can be used in the guilt phase, though. There is a jury instruction that permits the trier of fact to take into consideration the fact that you fled.
As a consciousness of guilt?
Correct.
Can you comment on O.J.'s alibi the night of the crime?
Obviously, we didn't buy onto it.
Are you going to put
Can you comment what do you think he was doing?
What do we think he was doing?
Can you talk us through a little bit of the crime?
No, no, I can't do that.
For this common special circumstance case with the case of either death or life in prison, you would have to get at least one count of first-degree premeditated murder.
Correct.
So in other words, you would have to allege in court that he acted with premeditation and had planned in advance his knowledge of at least one of the victims.
We will be treating this case as a first-degree murder case with special circumstances.
Are you putting out a warrant for the arrest of this other fellow that O.J. was seen with on the basis that he could help you find him?
We need more information before we can do that. Let me just add, I don't know. He was in a house, I believe. At the appropriate time, and perhaps today is not the appropriate time, we must talk about domestic violence. I mean, for 18 months as district attorney, I've been talking about domestic violence and about the need to do something early on in domestic violence to protect not just the victim, like Miss Simpson, but others too, the children and others. This, unfortunately, is the result of the criminal justice system not doing the job that it must do in domestic violence.
Gil, it's been pointed out the entire world is watching you at the moment. Do you feel embarrassed that all this is happening? That there's been such a massive cock up here?
Well, I hope my son isn't watching overseas right now, but no, I'm not. I'm angry. I'm not embarrassed.
Angry at who beyond O.J. Simpson?
I'm angry at O.J. Simpson.
Does the fault lie with any of the officials?
No, I'm not going to point fingers at any of the officials. The LAPD has been busting their butt, really doing a fine job in terms of this investigation. Unfortunately, we did not have enough evidence early on to have made the arrest until we did. But it's the way it is. It's a circumstantial evidence case at that point.
What I'm wondering is that you folks have had evidence early on in this investigation that there was substantial evidence linking O.J. Simpson to the murders. Given that you have a 72-hour window, given that you yourself are going to be argued that he's a flight risk, why not take advantage of that time frame? Why not get him while you know you can get him, knowing yourself, as you will argue, that he's a flight risk? Why? I mean, doesn't it make sense that the LAPD...
You make it too simplistic. What happens if you make the arrest and the blood comes back? It doesn't connect him. Then we're on a vendetta. Why? No, you have to...
You had information beyond...
That's not true. We don't. We don't. This has been very enjoyable. But well, just a minute. She hasn't asked a question. This is the last question.
Was it the blood that wrapped this whole thing up because we got positive that the blood of the teenage O.J. Simpson for you decided to take that?
I'm sorry, would you ask that? I didn't understand it.
You started talking about the blood, so was it the blood that finally changed your mind today and you're going to file this thing and arrest?
Not change our mind. It finally gave us sufficient admissible evidence to go forward and issue the criminal complaint and get an arrest warrant. That's what we did. Thank you. I'm going to. We had it. All right, just a minute.
When he pleaded no contest to battery his wife, he was allowed to have psychiatric counseling by telephone, and he called the shots on his community service.
That was a horrible joke. It was a joke on our community, and look what happens as a result of that. Let me finish. Our criminal justice system, judges, prosecutors, police, public defenders, everyone has to understand that domestic violence cases are serious, even when someone says, this is just a domestic dispute. You know, you've been here 8 times before. You don't have to take care of it. Let me handle it. No, we're not going to let them handle it. We have to step in and we have to assist judges, making sure that they know the import of these cases, that they have lives in their hands, and that if they don't treat someone with extreme professionalism and understanding as to what the dangers are of domestic violence, then you're going to wind up in cases like this. In Los Angeles, and I dare say in every urban community throughout the country, you have too many domestic violence cases. In Los Angeles, we're filing 1 domestic violence homicide case every 9 days, for heaven's sakes.
So did O.J. Simpson get special treatment in that particular case? And do you believe that if he hadn't at that point, maybe things would be different right now?
It sure seems like he got special treatment. That's it. Thank you.
Several times in the past few months for domestic violence, and you brought no charges against him. Why was that?